Imagine moving into an apartment that doesn't appear on any maps, a place that seems to exist outside of time, a ghost in the city's architecture. Now, imagine realizing that everyone around you, your new neighbors, knows far more than they should. They watch you with knowing eyes, their smiles never quite reaching them. What would you do if you were trapped in an apartment that technically doesn't exist? This is the unsettling story of a place where people vanish without a trace, a building that might just be a doorway to somewhere else entirely. If you dare to explore the shadows with us, make sure you've locked your doors. Our story begins with a man we'll call Alex. Like many of us, he was looking for a fresh start in a bustling city. He found what seemed like the perfect apartment online, affordable, spacious, and in a quiet, overlooked part of town. The landlord was eccentric but friendly, handing over the keys with a strange warning. "Don't mind the building's little quirks." Alex shrugged it off. Every old building has its quirks, right? From the moment he stepped inside, a sense of unease settled over him. The air was heavy, and the silence was deafening, broken only by the faint, rhythmic creak of the floorboards above. The lights in the hallway would flicker and die as he passed, only to reignite once he was gone. His neighbors were odd. They'd appear in the hallway without a sound, offering cryptic pleasantries before disappearing back into their apartments. He would sometimes hear faint whispers seeping through the walls, words he couldn't quite make out, like a conversation happening just on the edge of hearing. He tried to ignore it, blaming it on an old building and his own exhaustion. But the feeling of being watched never left him. Days turned into weeks, and the strangeness only intensified. Alex started finding things, small, misplaced objects in his apartment, a single antique lace glove on his kitchen counter, an old silver pocket watch tucked under his pillow, its hands frozen at 3:33. He hadn't brought these things with him. They were relics of a past that didn't belong to him. His neighbors became more unnerving. An elderly woman from down the hall would stare at him, her gaze piercing, and once whispered, "You shouldn't be here," before shuffling away. Another neighbor, a young man who always wore a hat pulled low, once stopped him by the mailboxes. "They're listening," he'd hissed, eyes darting around nervously. "This place remembers everyone who leaves." Alex's curiosity began to curdle into genuine fear. One night, while trying to hang a picture, his hammer accidentally punched through the thin drywall. Behind it wasn't insulation, but a dark, hollow space. Prying away the plaster, he revealed a hidden room, no bigger than a closet. It was covered in dust, but the walls were plastered with old newspapers, all detailing missing persons cases from decades past. And in the center of the floor, etched into the wood, was a strange, spiraling symbol. He felt a cold dread wash over him. This wasn't just an old apartment. It was a place with a dark, hidden history. What would you do if you found a secret room in your home? Would you seal it up or venture deeper? The secret room became Alex's obsession. He spent his nights poring over the yellowed newspaper clippings. Dozens of people, all residents of this very building, had vanished over the last century. They were all different ages, from different walks of life, but their stories ended the same way. They moved in, and then one day, they were simply gone. No forwarding address, no goodbyes. They just ceased to exist. Tucked away in a loose floorboard, he found a small, leather-bound ledger. It was a log, written in a shaky, frantic hand. It detailed the building's quirks, the flickering lights, the whispers, the objects appearing out of nowhere. The last entry was chilling. It described the building as a trap, a gateway. The writer claimed the building itself was alive, a predatory entity that fed on its inhabitants, pulling them into another dimension, another reality, to sustain itself. The symbol on the floor was a seal, or perhaps a lure. Alex felt his blood run cold. Was this the ravings of a madman, or the final warning of the person who lived here before him? That night, the apartment felt different. The shadows seemed to writhe and stretch in the corners of his vision. The whispers grew louder, clearer, calling his name. He saw a flicker of movement, a tall, slender figure, dark and featureless, standing at the end of the hall for just a second before dissolving into the darkness. He knew then that he wasn't just dealing with a haunting. He was inside the ghost. This place was a trap, and it was beginning to close. Alex knew he had to get out. He frantically packed a bag, his hands shaking. He didn't care about his deposit or his belongings. He just needed to escape. But when he tried to open his front door, the handle wouldn't turn. It was fused shut. He tried the windows, but they were sealed tight as if they were never meant to be opened. The whispers were now a chorus, coming from all around him. The lights flickered violently before plunging the apartment into complete darkness. In the suffocating black, he heard a sound that wasn't a whisper. It was a slow, deliberate creak, coming from the hidden room. A faint, otherworldly light began to glow from the opening in the wall, casting long, distorted shadows across his living room. The spiraling symbol on the floor of the secret room was now pulsing with a soft, ethereal energy. A figure began to emerge from the light hall, impossibly thin, and made of shifting shadow. It had no face, no features, but Alex felt its gaze on him, a feeling of ancient hunger and cold intelligence. It reached out a long, shadowy hand. Alex backed away, pressing himself against the far wall, his heart hammering against his ribs. He let out a scream, but the sound was swallowed by the oppressive silence of the apartment. The shadowy figure glided towards him, the light from the portal growing brighter, consuming everything. The next day the sun rose over the city. Apartment for B was quiet. The door was unlocked. Inside everything was neat, as if no one had ever lived there. The hole in the wall was gone, replaced by smooth, unmarked plaster. The building stood silent, waiting. Alex was gone. He became another name in a long-forgotten ledger, another face on a yellowed newspaper clipping. Another soul consumed by the apartment that doesn't exist. Did he escape into another dimension? Or was he simply erased from our reality? The building keeps its secrets. It stands on a quiet street, not listed on any map, waiting for its next tenant, waiting for someone else looking for a fresh start. What do you think happened to Alex? Is the building a portal, a monster, or something else entirely? The line between what's real and what's not is thinner than we think. Subscribe and join us in the shadows as we uncover more stories that will make you question everything. The next mystery is waiting.